Well, good morning, everybody, and it's absolutely great to be out. I'm out of my dining room, so happy days. I'm out in the open, and it's lovely to see everybody here. And thank you so much to AESIN for inviting me to give one of the keynote presentations today. So I wanted to talk about digital roads. Those of you who keep an eye on National Highways websites will have seen we launched our digital roads vision and plan a couple of weeks ago, and I want to talk about that in the context of the work that we've done around connected and autonomous vehicle trials. I will just pick up on our change of name. So up until about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, something like that, we were known as Highways England. We're now National Highways, and I'll just recap on what we do and why we do it. And then, like I say, just lead into talking about digital roads, and then the learning from our connected and autonomous vehicle trials. And again, I want to pick up on that point about collaboration and teamwork. Some of the trials that we did, they wouldn't have happened without some of the conversations that we had with partners in AESIN. So I'll say a big thank you to AESIN there for enabling some of those things to happen. So who are National Highways? Well, they are what was Highways England, and those of you who've been around long enough will know that that is what was Highways Agency. We still do what we did as Highways England, so we still look after the strategic road network in England. So that's the motorways and major A roads which connect Scotland, Wales and through England, and it really is about moving people and goods on the network. As you can see from this diagram, we've got a huge number of assets that we manage, right across from civil assets through to roadside technology equipment and systems that sit behind the stuff that you'll see maybe driving here today, the mandatory speed limits, for example. You know, like I say, our roads are really important. All roads are really important in terms of connecting people and goods. We carry about 1/3 of all traffic and about 2/3 of all freight. And although over COVID the traffic levels did drop quite significantly, we're now seeing them really ramp up again. Our core imperatives remain the same, so we are focused on safety, customer service and delivery. Around safety, our kind of core objectives are set out through our Home Safe and Well plan, and that is something that we focus on throughout our meetings. So we always start meetings off with safety moments. We also start them off with customer moments as well, also looking at well-being, so it's not just about the sort of safety in terms of accidents, but actually how are people feeling and how are people sort of physically. Our customer service ethos is set out through our customer service plan. It really is focused on how do we make a difference to our customers. So those are the people, not just those using our road network, but they are also potentially the people who live next to or near or interact with our road network. So there's lots of stakeholders there that we need to work very closely with. And delivery is set out in our delivery plan, which is our response to the government's road investment strategy. And we're in our second road investment period. So that's really good news. We have a huge amount of work to deliver. I think it's just over £27 billion of capital, lots of infrastructure projects, but also lots of, bringing the environment agenda right into delivering those. So we recently launched our net zero decarbonisation plan, really focused on what is the environmental contribution and how do we make sure that our schemes are not just leaving the environment as good as it was, but actually how can we enhance the environment that was there before we started. So a really changing landscape and lots of really sort of challenging ambitions to do, particularly if you look at our net zero ambitions. We've got 3 layers. So by 2030, we want to have net zero carbon for our own activities, so that's our estates, things like lighting in our estates, the energy we use and so on. 2040, we're looking at the carbon impact of the works that we do, so our operations and our delivery activities. And then 2050, we're really sort of tied into sort of wider government ambitions around road user carbon and decarbonising the road user. So clearly, electrification of vehicles, different fuel types, actually how do people use the network and when do they use the network is really important to us. And as ever, we are always looking to the future. So the bit in National Highways where I work is focused on setting the design standards for delivering new road projects. It is also focused on looking at the research and the innovation that can help us make our service to customers and our safety even better than it is. So in 2017, we launched our Connecting the Country report. There are 9 sort of key themes that we identified around the future. Happily, you know, lots of words cropping up multiple times today. Connectivity is on there. Looking at connected and autonomous vehicles, mobility, electrification. So all very sensible, all still very relevant. And that has really culminated in us delivering our digital roads ambition. So this is about how do you bring data, technology and connectivity together to improve the way that our road operates and is used. And actually, how we can get better insight into how we maintain the road, when we need to maintain the road network, and how we can sort of, again, going back to that sort of safety and customer service piece, how can we deliver better? So this was launched a couple of weeks ago. You can find it on our website. It's focused on 3 themes. So we have digital design and construction, digital operations, and the one that is most interesting for me in the sort of connected autonomous vehicle space is around digital for customer. So this is the overarching vision of digital roads, and really the bit I want you to sort of focus on here, I know there's a lot of words on this slide, and I don't plan to go through all of these, is the image. So as you move through time, what we're looking at from a kind of sort of roadside technology and services space is how do we rationalise and reduce the technology that we've got there to still deliver the same or better service, and actually you move to a kind of a more cleaner environment as you drive through. So there are benefits not just from you know, reducing the amount of roadside technology, the opportunity to retain our and get back our verges and increase the biodiversity there, for example, but again, how do we make sure we do that in a way where we are still providing those services to customers? And I think this is where the work that we're doing around connected autonomous vehicles and information provision has been absolutely key. So just focusing on our digital for customer vision, I want to sort of, this slide sets out the sort of 5 key areas, and I want to really focus on the 3rd and 4th area in particular in this conversation is around making sure that we are pushing information out to our customers to empower them to make good choices, make the right choices and be able to plan their journeys and also to know what's happening during their journeys as well. And really about providing that end-to-end journey support. So again, going back, it's all about what data, how do we run our network, and how can we move that from running it via a very physical asset to running it through a more virtual asset, again building on that, the work we've done around connectivity and looking at how do you get that in-vehicle service enabled over time. And that leads me through into the work that we've been doing around connected services. So I'll talk a moment about the trials that we did in the first road period, and I'm sure I don't have to tell any of you about the value in delivering connectivity and in-vehicle or vehicle-to-vehicle communications as people move through our networks. We know there's lots of studies been done about the benefits of this, particularly, you know, for us, you know, the reduced need for new road infrastructure or you know, how we sort of build that new into what we've got already and rationalise what we have. The opportunity to reduce maintenance costs, reduce exposure to roadworks, all of those are real benefit to us, again, delivering the same level of service. And again, it also helps us deliver a service level in the sense of giving people that reliability over their journeys. So the more we know about what's happening on the network, the more we can provide information to influence and empower customers, the better. So I'm just going to go and just quickly talk about the learning from our connected and autonomous vehicle trials from the first road period. So between 2015 and 2020, we ran a number of road trials. And actually, we are continuing to run CAV trials throughout road period 2. But what I really wanted to know is what have we learned? So where's Andy Fisher? Andy, somewhere in this room, sat at the back, is my Connected and Autonomous Vehicles Trials team leader. And I said to him, so Andy, we've done all these lovely trials. So we've worked with Nissan on Human Drive, this autonomous vehicle drive from Cranfield up to Sunderland, really exciting. What have we learnt from UK CITE, where we looked at could we replicate the information on roadside signs into vehicles as they drove through? What have we learnt from the A2M2 connected corridor work? Again, where we looked at could we replicate that information into vehicles, and how well does it work if we use roadside Wi-Fi? How well does it work if we use cellular, for example? Things like what are we learning from freight platooning, where we're looking at running 3 lorries all together, electronically connected? Are there fuel efficiency savings and so on? So Andy pulled all this together, and really these sort of key areas came out, particularly around safety. Safety is our #1 imperative. So we've done a lot of work looking at safety risk governance for CAV trials, feeding a lot into sort of the BSI and Zenzik safety case framework as well. Looking at the user impact, so on the A2M2, we undertook an evaluation in terms of how did the users feel in these trials. What about the technology? What communications technology could we use? What would be most appropriate? How does it work in terms of how quickly we can get information into vehicles? And what's the reliability and the sort of bandwidth? And then finally, bring it all together in that sort of evaluation piece. And so all of this was done, and the result of this is what we call our connected services roadmap focus areas. And this is very much saying, right, we've done these trials, these are great. How can we make this into a real world delivery? So we're really moving from trials into business as usual. And our chief exec, Nick Harris, who was confirmed again a couple of weeks ago, he is really keen on this. It fits very well with our Digital for Customers work, fits right into the digital roads. And we've brought out these sort of 5 key areas underpinned by sort of the stakeholder involvement. And they won't happen without the stakeholder involvement, because we can't do all of these. But certainly, what's important is the drivers for why would National Highways do this? Well, clearly, we know it will deliver benefits, and we know it fits with our wider vision, and that's why, we've influenced what's gone into digital roads, as part of this. Geospatial mapping. So how do you set out where things have to happen on the network, and how do you make sure that it's accurate enough so as people drive through these zones, they're getting the right information? What is the technology? Do we use cellular? Do we use roadside Wi-Fi? And how does that fit with our digital operations? So the information that's being received into our operations centres, and that is being used to monitor and manage the network. And then, a huge piece in this, and we've got a chief data officer now in National Highways, and we're working with him and his teams on the data and the system requirements to make this kind of thing happen. Massive piece of work. And then finally, around legislation and regulation. Again, this is something that is not something that National Highways would necessarily lead, but we will work with Zenzik, CCAV, all the industry, in terms of making sure that from a kind of legislative point of view and regulation point of view, everything is wrapped up in order to be able to deliver this service in a safe and auditable way, that we are all confident that it is doing what we set out to do. So this is just the start. This is we talked about opportunities for partnerships and ideas, and if any of you are looking at any of this and thinking, oh, I've got something interesting about this, please do come have a chat with me, have a chat with Andy or Phil, who's also here from National Highways. And we really welcome the conversation about all of this, and we're really excited, to see what we've learned in the trials go into a real-world application. Thank you for listening.